Angus Gidley-Baird is the animal proteins analyst at Rabobank. Great to have you with us, Angus.
No, good to be here, Rikki.
Now, the movement on the cattle market, it's just continuing to stubbornly stay above that 1100 price mark.
Yeah, it has. It is amazing, really, just continuing to track upwards. But if you take a look at any of the Bureau of Meteorology maps and realise or see the amount of rain we've had across the country, and particularly in areas like Queensland that have been dry, you can understand why that price is continuing to tick up as producers are reassured that there's going to be a good season ahead.
And I guess there's a lot of wet going on, a lot of heavy rainfall. To what extent does flooding start playing into markets? How has that fed into it in the past?
Flooding will probably have a bigger impact in terms of getting stock out and stock to market. So we might see some sale yard numbers dip or processing weekly kill numbers dip here and there, depending on what flooding is occurring. I was supposed to be speaking at an event in Emerald tomorrow night, and it's just been cancelled because there are floods up there in Queensland and people can't get to the event. So, yeah, from a livestock point of view, though, it's water on the ground, and as long as it doesn't hang around for too long, it's going to add to the soil moisture profile, and it's going to mean good pasture growth heading into summer.
Gee, that to my layman's ears, that sounds like prices could go further north if there's a supply issue.
Yeah, well, particularly, given that we're seeing rain in Queensland, there is such a large number of the Australian cattle herd in that Queensland market, and they have had drier conditions for the last couple of years. They haven't seen the improvement that the southern states have. And this is effectively their kickstart to the summer growing period, and if they get the growth, they'll be keen to try and restock numbers. I was just looking at the Roma sale for this week, actually, 23rd of November they had a sale.
Yep.
And the numbers going through there, the numbers are up a little bit, not much, but you look at the price for a yearling steer, for example, and it's jumped 13% since the beginning of October. So you can see there's an appetite out there of producers wanting to find some lighter stock and put them on grass.
Yeah, and the price is still right down south in New South Wales, in Wagga, still pretty healthy as well by the looks of it too.
They are, and they're all being pulled up effectively. The buyer in Roma or Central Queensland is looking at Roma. The guy in Roma is looking at Northern New South Wales. Northern New South Wales looking south. So wherever they can find cattle at the moment, it's still looking good from a grass point of view. And if they can find cattle, they're looking to buy them.
I was going to say a rising tide lifts all boats, but it's probably inappropriate in the current circumstance in the riverine. We'll just say everyone's moving upwards. Hey, Angus, look, let's just try and skedaddle across to the sheep markets. They've sort of moved up and down a bit lately, and probably that spring flush is finally just pulling things down a bit.
Yeah, we have seen a slight lift in lamb weekly kill. So you look at the East Coast weekly kill numbers, and since the beginning of November, we have started to see that nudge up a bit. The month of November was 4% higher than the month of October in terms of numbers. It's still down 15% on the 5-year average, so we're still down, but it's just saying we've started to see those numbers come through the market now, and that's obviously had a little bit of a dampening effect on prices. They're still well above, though. Lamb prices at the moment, trade lamb, it's doing about $8.37. It is down from September, October, but it's still above the 2020 volume numbers. It's still up by 9% on 2020 prices.
Yeah, so it's a very healthy market really across those two sort of sides of the livestock and protein area, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And while a lot of it is being driven by the domestic market and the limited livestock numbers here and the very good seasons and that strong producer demand, we are seeing in a global sense as well, there's a degree of support in that market. And just looking at things like the US imported lamb price for Australian products, it's been tracking up most of this year. It's starting to show signs a little bit of easing, but it's still a lot stronger than what it was this time last year. Also looking at import prices for beef, the US lean trimmings price is sitting well above where it was last year, and amazingly, it's actually started to rise in the last month as well. So that's encouraging because it does provide some relief for the very high prices that we've got here with our livestock.
Yeah, I suppose as economies open up, restaurants open up, and suddenly there's more dining going on, perhaps the demand for meat on the plates going up, and that's all positive for our growers.
It is. I think we've got to just be cautious, though. The food service definitely adds to the fueling sort of consumer demand, but the consumers are only eating a certain amount, and whether they eat it through food service or through retail, but it's more, I think it's more about what the consumer is able to spend the rest of their income on. And at the moment, we still haven't got that global or international travel revival yet, so we're still limited to consuming everything that we want to consume here in Australia. And we don't have we're not afforded the luxury of being able to buy our overseas trips at the moment. So that income is possibly going into our food budget here. So that's helping the local domestic demand, and we're seeing it across the world as well. But perhaps when we start to see those freedoms increased and more travel and people starting to spend money in different areas, we might see it come back a bit. But at the moment, consumer demand is looking very healthy.
Well, that's good. Always happy to have a healthy end to a market wrap. Thanks, Angus, for your contribution today. Very comprehensive.
Not a problem, Rikki. Great to chat.